No one? That's a beautiful clip. I mean, it's a movie, really. It's not a short clip. It's 2.5 hours, but it shows in this very simple word, it shows the fundamentals of quantum. So go and find it down the rabbit hole on internet. There is a link there, but if you couldn't find the link, it pays, I'm sure it's better than a lot of other movies that you spend time to watch. That's one. The other thing I want to ask, just one, there was a little bit of discussion internally in the admin. I want to get your feedback on that. Whether when you hear the word quantum, does it give you a bad feeling, a good feeling, or no feeling? I first start with good feeling. Who gets a good feeling with the word quantum? One person? Two? Okay. Who gets a bad feeling when he hears quantum? Who feels no feeling when he hears quantum? So there are some people who have not answered to any of the three options. That's fine. That means we have not worked enough on our branding. Okay. The other thing, so you know what is the topic of today, right? Where is the justice of God? Is God really fair and just? Let me get my water, please. Where did I put it? Here. Sorry. Oh, next to my chair. Sorry. Men are really blind. Alors, do you want to start? Is it on? بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إنه خير الناصر ومعين. We want to discuss this topic that I'm sure most of us have been engaged with the thought of it from the very young age. Always the justice of God has been questioned. I'm sure you all have heard it. It has happened for yourself. And I have seen, you might have seen as well, I have seen quite a few people who have totally lost their interest in God by not being able to justify for themselves with all the things which are happening around. And where is the God? What is he doing? I mean, when all these killings are happening in different parts of the world, in the wars, with illnesses and viruses, and so many other stuff that is really heartbreaking. But I have given few examples here about those things that I could have thought of. I mean, calamities like earthquake, flood, zone which is injustice, discrimination that we see around us. There are a lot of discrimination. Malformation of fetus and child being born in a very bad state. I mean, they are not disabled. They are by birth they are disabled. And again, those are one of those areas that people would like to know, where is the God's justice there? Illegal child, the child of adultery births, where they're made. So they are really poor guys, are innocent. And what was their choice? What was their choice? And you know that we know that, number one, maybe not too much in West, but I'm sure even in West, nobody likes to be called like that, or especially in our parts of the world where we are coming from. People, it's one of the very bad things. And apparently they are deprived from some certain positions that they cannot take because of that. And also a lot of enforced life conditions on us, like poverty, religion. People are born to religious families as opposed to people who are born in non-religious families. People who are born in somewhere in Africa, people who are born into a family of a scholar, people who are born, there are different, and even people who are born this time of the whole history. Why, as opposed to people of 500 years ago or people of the next 200 years? These are all enforcements. They're all what is called in our languages, I mean Arabic and Farsi, and I'm sure in Urdu is the same. It's called jabr. Yeah, you all understand what is jabr, right? So it does look definitely, it is very discriminatory. There is not very simple justification for that. Quality of life, financially, religiously. And the other thing, which is bad and good inclinations of people, you might have noticed, even in children in very young age, you can see in some child at the age of 2 or 3, he or she looks very generous, and she shares her toys with other kids. Or you can see some of them are more stingy. I mean, they don't want and they don't give anything away. Some kids, they go to school, they share their food they have taken to school with others. Some people, they don't. You know, we have seen those personality traits differences with them. So that apparently comes from some genetic background. It brings it like that. So they are also being born, I said this, the issue is even more important. There are much more discrimination than that. You look at this hadith I've written here, السعيد سعيد في بطن أمه والشقي شقي في بطن أمه. You all have heard this? Saeid means auspicious is auspicious at his mother's womb, and wretched is wretched at his mother's womb. What does that say? Sorry? Do you understand what it means, right? The English side. But it basically, it is saying is the poor guy before he's born, he's already determined for him his destiny, where he's going to lead. Correct? And when we hear things like that, we wonder, why is that? How come that can be right? I have seen in explanations or tafasir, interpretations of scholars about this. There are a lot of interpretation, and they explain it because they have to explain it in a way so that it does not conflict with the God's justice. That's not easy. So either you have to be a philosopher to understand that, because the explanation is not easy. I have read many of them. It's either philosophical interpretations or irfanic and spiritual interpretation. But still, when it comes to ordinary people to understand it, it's not easy. They don't understand. It says, before they are born, whether they are auspicious or they are wretched, is already there. They are there. So, do you guys agree with that? So, and what if you're told, definitely this hadith is a correct hadith? Then what do you think? Can you keep those questions at the end, because I lose the track of what I want to say. Thank you. So what if you don't agree with this statement, but at the same time, what if you're told it is the very correct hadith and there is no problem in the authenticity of the hadith? Then we wonder, how can it be? And even the problem is more than this. I'm afraid I might introduce you to some more other conflicting facts about that, and you go back and totally, they never come back to us anymore. Because you already don't know about it. Maybe it's better I don't let you know more. But anyway, that's part of, that's not the problem, I'm sure. I'm just kidding you. There is ahadith of Tina. I don't know if you have heard about these ahadith. Have you? Has anyone knows what are the ahadith? Okay, what is Tina? Tina is basically, the word tin, I think, means soil or earth, right? And Tina, in the context which is used, it means building blocks of the human being. That very core building block of a human being is called Tina. So there are a group of ahadith which are famous. They are in Usul al-Kafi, they are in Bahar al-Anwar, many famous Shia books. And even they are in Sunni books. It's not only it's not only a Shia issue. And I'm sure if you go to, I've not done that, but if you go to Christian scripts, you will find similar things. I mean, I have had a lot of discussions with a couple of Christian priests, not about this particular issue, but about many other common issues between Islam and Christianity. And there are a lot of parallels there. But I'm sure, I just want to say, I won't be surprised to find out that they have also something similar to that. So those ahadith of tinad, when you hear them, basically, there are plenty of them. Basically, they are saying, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to create human, he took a bunch of soil or earth of aliyin. That's very good, means very highly regarded. And also a bunch of soil from sejin. Sejin means a material which is very low and smelly and very bad, right? And mix this together. And then for good people, that's the text of all ahadith in those range. For good people, he used much more of the aliyin tin or building block and a little bit of bad or sejin or a little bit of bad soil. For people of bad nature, which we have seen a lot of, heard about a lot of them, he has taken a lot of more of that sejin, very low soil, and a little bit of aliyin. Yani it's all of us are a combination, our nature is a combination of good tina and bad tina, mix up. And that doesn't really surprise me, because we have noticed the impact of this is in the daily life. We noticed that, I noticed it in myself and in many people around. We noticed that there are many people that by nature, even at the young age, they are in a state of a very good inclination towards very good deeds. We know people like that. They don't have to do a lot of effort to be generous. There are people who are generous. There are people who are very good-hearted. They always want to do good deeds. And opposite to that, we know there are people, for them to be, they may not be bad people in terms of the standards that we know, ethically and religiously, but for them to be like that is more challenging. They have to do a lot more efforts to maintain a level of standards for them. That is, this phenomenon comes because of that combination of those two types of soils of human tina. And that's the question again. Why if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made someone like that, then this is very discriminatory. He has already, Allah has already decided who is going to go to hell and who is going to go to heaven. So it's even more complicated to understand, right? And the other issue that we know is potentiality. Basically, people come with different potentialities. This is not only about human being, or about what I call qabiliyat. Those of you who have been in our previous classes a few years ago, you know what qabiliyat is. This is qabiliyat is the potentiality that people have with them. They bring with birth. They bring it with them by birth. And some people are easier to learn. For some people, learning is more difficult. Some people come with a different way of capacity of mental capacity. Some people come with lower mental capacity. I mean, this qabiliyat issue is even in plants. If you look at two pomegranate trees in the same soil, one next to each other, same soil, same water and sun and everything there, but you find the taste of one is different from other, isn't it? Some of them are tasting a bit sour, some of them are tasting a bit of more sweet. Although they can genetically modify these things now and change them. But no, we are talking about what those things are bringing before it's modified. But they come with that naturally. So these are different in potentialities. And we know that even our taste buds or our perceptive tools are not very precise for a human being. I mean, we don't have very much precision in our perceptive senses. If it was more sensitive, we were more sensitive, you could have detected much more differences between the taste, between the color, between, you know that we for instance, we see a range of colors very similar to each other. But if our eyes had a different sort of means of detection, we could see different colors even. So what I want to say is that also difference in potentiality, that's another discrimination. It's very discriminative. It looks like very discriminative. And have you, just before I go to the next, I ask you, have you guys faced these questions? Has it been a problem for you to understand or not, or you are okay with it? Of this justice of God, is it, or is it not a problem? Question is, has this ever, by seeing all these things that I said about injustice around the world and things that is out of the people's control, and the differences that people have by birth, has it clicked in your mind that why these are different, why someone is better than the other one? But even if you guys haven't, I have seen people who have really gone out of religion totally. They have lost their religion. So now what I want to say, it is an important issue to make an understanding. But the paradigm I want to introduce is a simple paradigm. I'm researching it. I'm putting it into writing. I've started. I've been doing some work, small work here and there on it for the last. I was looking at my notes it was from 2014, but I've never really done a thorough work. Well, I've just recently started to work with someone else more thoroughly on this. But it makes a lot of sense in explanation, and it has got Quranic backup and had support of hadith as well, and is much more simple to understand why is discrimination is there. Let's first look at the circle of existence, universes. Who remembers the universes? Ascending arc and descending arc. Please hold up your hands, those who remember. Okay. Now I ask because I want to know how much I have to explain. So basically, I don't go in too much details now, but if you wanted to know, you can probably search for it and find there are materials available on internet. And basically, the whole existence is a circle. And there is one side of the circle is descending arc, and the other side is ascending arc. And if we come, everything we say, the Quranic verse for that is Inna lillah wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Everything is from Allah and returns to Allah. Correct? So this very small sentence does explain that circle of existence. Everything, and there are also verses in Quran that does show that anything coming to the material level, reaching to this material level, has started from top level. The first level is the level of universe of divinity. That's Allah's level. Everything is in Allah's level. Those who have done MNC with me, do you remember when we were discussing about 4 souls? Who has done MNC? Hold up your hands. I want to see how many people. Why do you shy away? Hold up your hand. I can't see it. Okay, thank you. So if you remember, the four souls were plantic soul, animal soul, and human soul. Who remembered the fourth one?
Universal.
Universal, which was divine soul, right? So basically, that divine soul is refers to divine universe. That is, everything starts from the divine universe. Where is it? What is the divine universe? Divine universe, yani everything which has come down in the circle of existence, has reached the material world, has been first in the ilm of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's the divine universe. Ilm of Allah, knowledge of Allah. And it makes sense, doesn't it? We cannot. Are you reading something?
Just Haneen's message.
Okay.
So it was a comment.
And Sallu ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad. Basically, in reconciliation of the, to make it probably easier to understand, in reconciling in the words outside world with inside world of human being. See, anything that you want to make, it first comes to your knowledge, doesn't it? You cannot start making something without first coming to your knowledge. So you have to have knowledge about it, right? So the creation is like that. Everything is in the knowledge. That's the divine level. So if let's say, if human is the example of it, which is there is some reconciliation between the two. They say, whatever I showed you, whatever is in outside the universe is inside in human being as well. So it first comes to our knowledge, and then when it comes to what level? It comes to the level of aql, intellectual level. That's one of the levels of universe. So from the knowledge of Allah, which is divine level, it comes down, it descends to universe of aql. And how do you know something is universe of aql when it's in your own mind? When someone, let's say someone starts to think, I have to make a computer, something that does this and that, even he doesn't know the name of it, right? So the particular of that computer in the mind of someone, which is in a universal level, this is also universal, that is in alam aql of that person. Now the person decides to bring it a level down to work for it, want to make the computer. He has to bring it to the level of intellect or imagination. This is another universe in the outside world. In the level of imagination, it is where it gives image to it. And he has to think, how is it going to look? What dimensions is it going to have? What are the details of it? You know, all these things that comes to the mind of a person who wants to make, not the computer that is very complex thing, even this table. He thinks he wants to make, it's his knowledge that I have to make something that I can put all my stuff on it. So it comes down, and when he thinks of the shape of it and think it should be like this, and it has to have this, what do you call it, feet, and it starts to take shape in mind. That has come to a level of imagination. All the creatures pass through these universes. And then from the imagination come to alam madde, to material universe. And that person has drawn it, has thought of the details, goes out in the market and buys some pieces of wood boards, and comes and start to cut it into pieces, put it together. This is the material side of it. This work has come down to the material world. So everything in universe is like that. It starts from the ilm of Allah, comes to the universe of intellect, comes down to the universe of imagination, misal, and comes down to the universe of matter. Is it? I don't know. Those who have heard me, I used to talk about this in different sessions, like 3, 4, 5 sessions. We used to talk about this to make this understand. But I hope it has clicked in your mind what we mean. Has it? Yes? So you don't need to know very much the details of it to understand the topic that I'm going to link it to. It is, so this circle of existence, one up to the material level, is called descending arc. And what is ascending arc? We go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is not physical, right? What we are talking about, descending and ascending, is not physical at all. So the material world, when people die, when we say they go to, really they don't go anywhere. They just open, they are open to the alam barzakh, right? As also an imagery word as well, alam barzakh. And then after that they go to, where is after that? Where is after barzakh? Qiyamah. So that is when people reach to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is also an alam zar. It is, at least I don't know as of yet, that alam, because there are different explanations about alam zar. Alam zar is a universe which is mentioned in Quran, many ahadith about it. But when I say I don't know from which of these universes it covers, because it may be referring to Nasut and Barzakh together, Alam Zar. It may be referring to Nasut and imagination together. That philosophers have given different interpretations or explanations about it. But what matters for us to know here is there is an Alam Zar, and that is before we have come to this world and we are born, right? In Alam, and let me find the verse of Quran about it for you. Who remembers that verse of Quran? That verse of Quran which says, Alastu birabbikum qalu bala, ya? وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتِهِمْ. I must have it here. Finished? I think I haven't done enough. I don't have enough slides. But وَإِذْ أَخَذَ رَبُّكَ مِنْ بَنِي آدَمَ مِنْ ظُهُورِهِمْ ذُرِّيَّتِهِمْ وَأَشْهَدَهُمْ عَلَىٰ أَنفُسِهِمْ أَلَسْتُ بِرَبِّكُمْ قَالُوا. It is clearly saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took from Zurriya. Zurriya is referring to the Alam Zar, right? That's why it's called Alam Zar. And Zar means very small little particles, correct? So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has dragged all those zarrat, those particles, the small particles called zar, from the soul of Adam and spoken to them. But how did he speak to them? Number one, when Allah, this verse of Quran says, Ashhadum ala anfusihim, alastu birabbikum qalu bala. Am I not your Lord? And everyone, they all said yes. So we can first, number one, we have to understand Allah talks to people with intellect. That type of talk is to people they must have some intellect, some intelligence. Otherwise, he doesn't talk to the wood like that. So that means at that very zar and zarre, that little particle, you have had that intellect and intelligence. And called and talked to them. There are in ahadith that it says Allah showed himself to them. Here Allah doesn't show himself to us. But in that level, Allah showed himself. But of course, in the level of particle, just imagine, I'm not saying it is electron, but I'm saying imagine of electron. Electron doesn't have eyes the way we have. So Allah showed himself to those particles, to those zarrat, and said, and showed, am I not your Lord? And they all said, yes, you are. But you understand that accepting lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is different from implementing it. Yani, everyone sees. If it's like I say to you right here, am I not your teacher? Right? You say, yes, you are. Yeah, of course, you don't deny that I'm your teacher. But it's different from you learn whatever I say. You may say, no, I don't want to learn what you say. This is not, I don't agree with this. So what I'm trying to say is Allah showed himself to people, to those that are. They all said, yes, qalu bala. They all said, yes, you are. But not everyone accepted to become his servant in practice. So and the most famous of the whole of this is shaitan, right? You know, shaitan didn't have, from the conversation of shaitan with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is in Quran, shaitan has not doubted Allah's lordship. He has gone so much so to say that give me time, that I know you are the Lord, but just give me time. I want to astray people, you know all that conversation. So then in this is alam zar. There are two type of zar, two type of conversation with Allah has done. One is before even Adam is created, when everyone was in the soil, in the dust, in the earth. Once Allah talked to them, there are ahadith, in ahadith it shows that there are twice Allah has spoken. One is where He has spoken to even before He has created Adam yet. He has talked, brought them out, spoken to them, and one after He has created Adam. So this verse, when it says men bani Adam, bani Adam means the descendants of Adam. That means this is referring to when Adam was made. So anyway, so this is about alam zar. So in alam zar, there is an alam zar that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has spoken to us about it, right? And He has taken oath of allegiance, an oath of existence, and we accepted that you are the Lord. That's one. The other thing is, there are many places which shows that human beings have been tested in alam zar. Not only we have existed, we have been tested. We have lived. We have lived a life in alam zar. And example of that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought all the human beings. This is before they come to the material world. Gathered all of them and created a big fire and told them, Ashab al-Shimal and Ashab al-Yamin. This terminology is in Quran. Ashab al-Yamin are good people and Ashab al-Shimal are bad people. Ask them, go to the fire. And Ashab al-Shimal went into the fire, and Allah made fire cool on them. Ashab al-Yamin went. Ashab al-Shimal didn't go. They denied it. They didn't want to get burned. So they went back and they asked Allah to give them one more chance. Oh Allah, give us one more chance. He gave them one more chance. Okay, made the fire again and asked them go to fire, but they didn't go again. So that means we have lived a life, right? And we have been tested. What is the point of Allah testing us? Why should Allah test us? And then what is the impact of that test on human being? There must be somewhere taken to account, right? It must make a difference on, Masalan, Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam has been also in those people in Alam Zar. What he has done is, you remember I told you about Imam Hussein, right? In our last topic, what he did, and when Allah asked for that sacrifice, he was the only person who did that. So if you are tested, there is a consequence and result for the way you have performed the test, good or bad. And this test, the test in Alam is that, please, Salawat, I find my notes, I have not put it on here. Salawat, please. There is another, do you all remember the ziyarat of Hazrat Zahra? Ya mumtahanatun imtahanaka Allahu allazi khalaqaka qabla an yakhluqak, right? Allah, this is ziyarat that we recite for Hazrat Zahra. Oh, the person whom you were tested before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created you. That's what we read in ziyarat of Hazrat Zahra. There are also some points in Dua Nodbe which refers to that Ma'asumin, they have been tested as well and they have been taken oaths. So basically what I want to get at is we have been all tested. We have performed bad or good, or some good and some bad, and the different percentage of goodness and badness. And this is the point is, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala take those soils from earth of Eliyin and Sejin, it was when people have done their test, they had carried on their test. So based on the result of that test, that combination is made. That combination of good soil and bad soil. Someone has 60-40, someone is 62-38, someone is 70-30, right? When it and you know that there are people like, I think it was Shem, if I remember right, who were even fighting in the army of Imam Ali in the Battle of Safin. So yani they had gone so much close. They had gone so much close, but they retreated. I mean, after to become a good person, right? But at the end, he ended up to killing Imam Hussein. Isn't this to do with that bunch of Eliyin and Sejin? That Sejin has made its work, correct? So basically, all the life that we have had in Alam Zar and the test that we have gone through has made that impact on this, what looks like a discriminatory life that we have in this world. All these things that are imposed on us, in which family you're coming, in which time of the history you are born, whether it's religious, irreligious, or whatever. It doesn't make it. It does create. And I saw once. I cannot give you the reference, but I saw once in Al Mizan, very similar. Allama Tabatabai in his interpretation of one of the ayahs, he has got very close to this. That has that makes what we have done in the Alam Zar makes an impact on how we are created here. So what we have done, what we are here, all the things that we have here is basically our own choice in Alam Zar. We have made our choices before we are born to this life. But one might ask, why don't I remember? Why do we not remember? What is the point of that? What was wrong with it if we remember that?
I think the question for me would be not why do I not remember that, but why would people choose poverty, or why would they,
No. Wait a minute. Good thing you raised. I did not say people are choosing poverty. What I'm trying to say is things that are happening to us is the consequence of the things we have done. Masalan, look at the ayah notbe. Allahumma aghfir li az-dhunub allati tahbisu ad-du'a. Yani we do certain sins that it keeps dua from becoming accepted. It is so the consequence of that sin is that dua is kept. It doesn't get accepted. Or Allahumma aghfir li az-dhunub allati tunzilu al-bala. Oh Allah, forgive those sins of me which brings calamity on me, bala, right? So it is not that we have opted for this, what is happening. These are the consequences of those choices.
if I'm understanding you correctly, are you insinuating that just as we are operating in this world and we are making choices that we will then be held accountable for and on Judgment Day?
Absolutely.
That previously this life was existing in parallel to that?
Exactly, absolutely. So exactly, my point is, similarly, what we are doing now is making a difference on us in Qiyamah. Same way, all these limitations here, or even other than limitations, at the positive side, are the choices we have made. Not that choice is not that I wanted to be.
I have something else to add.
No, let me finish with this. Not that we have opted to be rich here. Not that we have opted to be poor here. What the consequences of what we have done is this. Let me tell you this to better understand it. We are told that there are certain things that we do here when we go to Barzakh. For a moment, goes to Barzakh, and he has also done some sins and bad things. What happens? He goes through a cleansing process in Barzakh, and we will be given some tortures. But of course, let me correct myself, state it in a better way. We will not be given tortures by someone, by an external thing because of that. We will be tortured by our own sins. Like the example of it is, if you do not study, you will be illiterate. Somebody is not making you illiterate for the sin of not studying. You will be left illiterate if you don't study, correct? So for what we are doing, for the sins that we are doing here, so there will be certain cleansing process in barzakh. So for what calamities people are going here through in this world is similarly the same sort of cleansing process that they are going through in this world, so that when they reach in the existential circle, when they are reaching to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are cleansed, they can, right? But not everyone will be totally cleansed. This is about mu'min, this is about the people of faith. People who are totally denied, they will end up in hell, and they are going to be in hell for khalidin, right? What does khalidin mean?
I hope it's not forever.
Hmm?
I hope it doesn't mean forever.
It does mean forever.
Oh my God. That's a bit harsh.
Anyway, so yes, see, we have to look at the life like this, so that to understand the justice of Allah, you have to take yourself, I mean, human being, in a span of existential circle. We are going through different phases of life. Now that we have come to this life, because time is getting finished, right? Time is running out. We have done already a good part of our life. Time is running out. Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent prophets, imams, du'as, ziyarat, has given you a lot of other things and telling you, hey guys, be careful, you're ending soon. So we didn't have prophet in Alam Zar. We did not need prophet in Alam Zar. But here we need it, because they are awakening us. They are trying to awaken people. Quran has been descended to this world, so that by reading Quran and reading du'as and reading all these tools that is presented to us, so that by which we can make a cleansing effort, so that when we go to barzakh, there is less. Because it's like the issue of jabr and ikhtiyar is like an issue, is like a funnel. The further you come down in that circle of existence, the funnel gets tighter, right? That tightening is the tightening of the choices. There is less choice, right? Yeah, what is the question?
I was going to liken it to, like, I'm not sure if it's Buddhism, but the reincarnation. It sounds a bit like being reincarnated.
Okay, I know that. I know that it's.
And being refined before you are.
No, I was expecting that. Yeah, I know this explanation brings this thought. So what is the difference between this and reincarnation, right? Number one, reincarnation is you keep coming back to the material world. This is not the same thing. You're coming to material world only once. That's not reincarnation. You are going through different universes, right? But if it sounds a little like that, that's fine. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not reincarnation, definitely. It is going through different universes. So in every universe, we have done some sort of deeds and a'mal, and then we have gone to the next universe with lesser choices and more limitations, but more tools. As I said the other time, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us Imam Hussein and his sacrifice in this world, so that we can use this further for cleansing, and by which help of which we can get closer to Allah. We can get rid of all those things that we have done. So I stop here, and if there's any, I mean, this session is finished, right? But if there is any question, yeah.
In terms of what religion or faith you're born into, would you say being born into a Christian faith is a